Naruto vs. Pain and Itachi vs. Sasuke are two of the best fights in all of Naruto. That's an indisputable fact. I can confidently say that these two fights are top 5 on almost everybody's favorite fights. Both these fights happened at a similar time and is arguably the peak of Naruto as a series. This begs the question, which fight is better? In one of my recent videos, I compared both of the Naruto vs. Sasuke fights at the Valley of the End. In that video, I laid out the criteria that I think defines a great fight. I don't want to be too redundant, so I'll explain the categories as I go in the video. I'm using the same criteria, but I'm adding one small category. That would be the setting. I'm also reorganizing the order by how important I think they are, roughly. Now, without further ado, let's look at our first category. The first category is the setting, and this is the least important category. The setting is a small detail that can make a fight slightly better. Fights happen in a variety of places in Naruto, and this includes places like the Valley of the End. The Valley of the End makes both Naruto vs. Sasuke fights even better, and the two fights I'm talking about today also have good locations. First, let's rate Sasuke vs. Itachi's location. It is at the Uchiha hideout, and this is a fitting place for their fight. It's a large compound decorated with some large Uchiha symbols, but it's also very dark and feels very empty. It may not be pretty on the eyes, but it is the perfect setting for this fight. Some small things Kishimoto uses for the setting are putting Itachi on a rundown throne, and that Itachi's final poke was in front of an Uchiha symbol. Thematically, this is an amazing place to fight, but the setting is not easy on the eyes. I think this takes away from it slightly, so I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5 on the setting. Naruto vs. Pain also has a good setting. It takes place at the Leaf Village, but Pain had just turned it into a crater. This makes this fight that much more personal for Naruto, considering that at the moment Naruto arrives, Pain has killed both of his teachers and has completely destroyed the village he has lived in his whole life. You would think a flat crater would be a boring fight, but this fight isn't the case. It's nice how much room they have to fight, and it makes the fighting more interesting. Kishimoto also uses the setting to his advantage, considering that the whole Leaf gets to watch the fight, including the bust of the 5 Hokage. Fighting in a completely destroyed Leaf Village is a great place to fight, and the fact that it is destroyed makes the setting more emotionally charged. I think this is the perfect setting for them to fight in, with very little negatives at all, so I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 on the setting. The next category is character progression, and it is a category that I struggle to word but can easily explain. This category is about how much the characters in the fight progress in terms of power and abilities. For example, it's nice in Kisame vs. Killer Bee that we finally get to see how powerful Kisame is. This reveal is done pretty well, and Kisame is as powerful as we expect him to be. First, let's look at Itachi vs. Sasuke. A lot of new abilities were revealed in this fight, and it is very satisfying to watch. Sasuke really showed what he was capable of, but we had been teased that in his fight against Deidara. Despite that, he still shows us some new jutsus like his great Dragon Flame jutsu. The best one, of course, was Kirin, and that reveal speaks for itself. What's even more satisfying that we finally got to see how powerful Itachi was. When he first came to the Leaf Village, he proved that he was the most powerful character in the series at that time, and we didn't even get to see him fully utilize his abilities. Then we waited a long time for this fight, and Itachi did not disappoint. The big reveal was the Susanoo, and that is quite impressive, and out of left field, but I preferred this reveal though. Amaterasu. I just think that's one of the coolest moments in the series, period. Even Orochimaru shows us something new in this fight, but Itachi responds quickly and shows us just how overpowered the Totsuka blade is. Overall, the character progression in this fight is amazing, and I'd give it a 10 out of 10. Now let's look at Naruto vs. Pain's character progression. Naruto vs. Pain's character progression is similar to the other fights. Pain and Sasuke have shown us some of what they can do, but still expand on it with one major trump card. Naruto and Itachi really upped their personal bar, and overall made a huge jump in power. We see all the paths of Pain fight the Leaf right before they fight Naruto though. Other than the Diva path, all the paths of Pain really showed off everything they could do. The only thing new that they could do is fight together because we hadn't really seen them fight together. That's alright, but they got picked off one by one, so it didn't really matter. The exception here is that we got to see the Diva Path 1v1 Naruto, and that was impressive. What was most impressive was planetary devastation, of course. This is similar to how Sasuke revealed Kirin, and this was a big highlight in the fight. I really love this ability and its reveal. Naruto's character progression was even better though. In early part 2, Naruto made pitifully little progress since the end of part 1. It was pretty off-putting considering how much progress he made towards the end of part 1. Sage mode almost makes up for all this wasted potential though. When Naruto first appears in the leave, we already know that this is going to be an amazing fight. I like that moment, but this moment really sets the tone going forward.
What I seek is me!
After that moment, Naruto really shows us just how big his jumping power is, and easily handles the 6 passive pain briefly. The whole village has just struggled to do anything against them, and Jiraiya wasn't able to do it on his own, but Naruto was babying them at first. This ends after the Diva Path regains its powers, but it's still amazing how physically strong Naruto is, and how he can use Rasen Shurikens rather frequently. I feel like Pain is slightly lacking here, but Naruto makes it up and makes the fight a 10 out of 10 on character progression. The next category is the conclusion, and this category is about how the fight finishes and how it affects the plot going forward. One of the best conclusions is the conclusion of Naruto and Sasuke's first fight at the Valley of the End. The final clash is spectacular, and Sasuke defecting heavily affects the plot going forward. It's hard to compare any fight's conclusion to this one, but Itachi vs Sasuke can go head to head with it. I can guarantee that you know how Itachi vs Sasuke ends, but I can't make the same guarantee with Naruto vs Pain. Itachi fought Sasuke nearly blind and with a terminal illness. Right before his death, Itachi had survived Kirin and with zero effort defeated Orochimaru, who was one of the most powerful characters in the series at the time. At that point in the fight, Sasuke looked done for. That is until Itachi appeared to suffer either a heart attack or cardiac arrest. Not even that could stop Itachi from what he wanted. His walk towards Sasuke is one of the most suspenseful moments in the series, and it's just flat out amazing. This all leads to one of the most beautiful things I've seen in a TV show or movie. This is the perfect ending to this fight. On top of that, in a matter of episodes, Itachi is revealed to not be evil, and this dramatically changes up the series. We really didn't know what to expect for Sasuke after the driving force for his whole conflict was destroyed. Obito telling him the truth gave him new purpose, but not everyone likes this new purpose. It's no surprise that this conclusion gets a perfect 10 out of 10. It's hard to imagine someone saying otherwise. Now let's look at Naruto vs Pain conclusions. Naruto vs Pain isn't bad, but it doesn't compare to the other fight's conclusion. In this fight, we go through a lot start to finish, and both fighters are pushed to their limits. This ends nicely with some flashbacks of Jiraiya, Kakashi, and Minato saying they believe in Naruto. On top of that, the end of the fight is just plain gritty. Naruto's shadow clones withstanding an almighty push is impressive, and right after that, 2 of them literally throw Naruto at the Diva Path. With the Rasengan that Naruto learned from Jiraiya, he finishes the last Path of Pain. This is an intense moment and is done very well. I don't think it compares to fights like Itachi vs Sasuke and Naruto vs Sasuke, but I still think it's a 9 out of 10 conclusion. The impact of the conclusion is also not as good as the other fights. The next category is the build-up, and this is about how much we have anticipated the fight coming. Sasuke vs Deidara has bad build-up because it was sudden and forced, but Naruto vs Sasuke in part 1 has good build-up because we waited for a whole arc to see the fight. Let's look at Itachi vs Sasuke's build-up first. The anticipation for this fight started at the very beginning of Naruto, when Sasuke said he wanted to kill a certain man. The hype was little then, but slowly it grew until the moment Sasuke killed Orochimaru. After that, we all anticipate that Sasuke is finally getting ready to make his revenge. The wait is long, but the fight lives up to all expectations. It's almost self-explanatory that this fight's build-up is a perfect 10 out of 10. Naruto vs Pain's build-up is also pretty good. It really starts after Pain kills Jiraiya, and at that point we knew that Naruto is not going to let that go. What I really like about the build-up though is the anxious wait we experience while Pain is destroying the Leaf Village. This short-term wait is done very well, and it feels good when Naruto finally arrives in the destroyed Leaf Village. It's also nice to finally see Naruto make a big jump in power when we first see him use Sage Mode in battle. The long-term wait is lacking though, in my opinion. We don't have to wait long to see them fight, and that takes away from it. We like Madara's first fight because we had been waiting to see just how powerful he was for a very long time. Overall, the build-up is good enough to give it a 9 out of 10. The next category is the fighting, and this is self-explanatory. I have conflicting feelings on the fighting in Itachi vs Sasuke. There's some great moments, but the taijutsu is lacking at times compared to other great fights. Kakashi vs Obito is great because of how much taijutsu there is. There is some in this fight, but it quickly becomes an ninjutsu battle. I like that, but it isn't as balanced as I wish it was. I don't want to be repetitive and rave about the ninjutsu again, like I did during the character progression. Overall, I just think the fighting in this fight is rough around the edges and heavily ninjutsu focused. The ninjutsu is very, very good though, so I'm going to give this fight an 18 out of 20 on the fighting category. The fighting in Naruto vs. Pain is also very good. This fight has a lot more close quarters combat, and I think that improves the fight. Naruto often uses Sage Mode to his advantage and dominates in close quarters combat. I won't go over the ninjutsu again, but that was also very good. I think this fight has a very good balance of close quarters combat and jutsu usage. Each path of pain was either destroyed by a punch, a Rasengan, or a Rasen Shuriken. One did die because he absorbed too much nature energy, but overall the fighting is smooth and well done. I'm giving it a 19 out of 20. The last category is the emotional involvement, and this is about how emotionally invested we are in the fight. We like Sasuke versus Danzo because it's a highly emotionally charged fight. The same goes for Sasuke versus Itachi. This conflict was the biggest part of Sasuke's character and was a very emotional conflict. Itachi slaughtering his entire clan dramatically shaped who Sasuke is, and it all leads up to this fight. These are both reserved introverts fighting, so there isn't much crying or screaming, but it's emotionally charged anyway. What makes this fight even more emotional is Obito telling Sasuke the truth. This leads to us seeing that Itachi's last words were something along the lines of, "Sorry Sasuke, but this is the last time." It also leads to Sasuke bawling his eyes out and awakening his Mangekyo Sharingan. People complain about Sasuke a lot after this point in the story, but this moment is just so hard to watch. Sasuke had spent almost 10 years completely dedicating his life to kill Itachi, and after he finally does, he learns that Itachi was lying to Sasuke the whole time. That is suffering that very few other characters have experienced. This fight is oozing with emotion and is easily a 20 out of 20. Naruto vs. Pain is also an emotional fight. Pain had killed Kakashi, Jiraiya, and countless other civilians when he destroyed the Leaf Village. To Naruto, Pain was just pure evil for a while. When Naruto first begins to fight him, his motivation is so high that he's taking the paths of Pain out left and right. He tells Pain to shut up several times, and you can tell that Naruto just wants to stop him very badly. Pain eventually pins Naruto down, and after a lecture, Naruto calms down. But right after that, Pain appears to kill Hinata. This makes Naruto go on a rampage, and he's almost taken over by the Nine Tails completely. Minato stops him, and this is where Naruto meets his father for the first time. It's easy to say that this is a crazy sequence of events, and is emotionally charged. Not long after that, we learn Nagato's backstory, and that's very emotional too. It really is a roller coaster, and it elevates the fight heavily. I give it a 20 out of 20 on emotional involvement. So I just realized I unintentionally gave both of these fights 72 out of 75s. This translates to a 96 out of 100. I want to pick a winner though, so we're going to break the tie on some of these categories. They tie in character progression and emotional involvement. In my opinion, Itachi vs. Sasuke has better character progression. Itachi really surprises with some of his abilities, and that surprise isn't as big in Naruto vs. Pain. Planetary devastation was a big surprise, but that doesn't compare to Amaterasu, Itachi Susanoo, and Kirin. As for emotional involvement, that's more subjective. Personally, I like Itachi and Sasuke's conflict more than Nagato and Naruto's. I think I'm in the minority there. It's a tough call, but subjectively, I give it to Sasuke versus Itachi. I want this video to be as objective as possible though, so I'm going with the majority and going to give the emotional involvement category to Naruto vs. Pain. So subjectively, I think that Sasuke vs. Itachi is a better fight, but objectively it's vice versa. What we can agree on is that both of these fights are spectacular and some of the best in the series. Anyway, thank y'all for watching and like the video if you enjoyed it. Comment something if you have something to say, and thank y'all for watching, and I guess I'll see y'all next time.